Hello, everyone. In this video, we will show you how to use the V4 query to filter data from the Salesforce database. In this video, the V4 query API serves as the endpoint within that service for conducting data searches in Salesforce. With the V4 query, we facilitate hierarchical data queries, and we offer the query editor tool for easy definition of conditions using dynamic where variables or clauses. Additionally, it allows obtaining the business response based on your requirements. As a prerequisite, you should understand how to create an integration, create metadata provider, repository, message type, and create an interface. Now, let's start. So now go to generate the query message type. First, navigate to the Metadata Provider tab. Click on the existing metadata provider. And click on the repository. Then click on the Generate Template, which will pop up a screen to generate template. Select Query Template Type. Field type to use in where expression. You can select a subject field or a custom field. For the example, we select the custom field. Then input the name of the custom message type. Choose the subject name of the message type. And click Continue. It pop up the screen for Add the field to use where expression and Add child for Generate tree message. Select the account MT, click on the Add Fields button. And you can see the field from the custom message type. So select some fields you need to use in the where expression. After selecting, click Save button. You can add a child message type too. Click on the Add Child button. Enter the custom message type name. Select the subject name. Then select the field you need to use in the where expression. And click Save button. You can generate the message type tree based on your requirement. As an example, we generate more child under the contact MT. After adding child already, you will observe the tree viewer here. Click on the Save button, which means Generate Message Type Query Template. When generating the message type successfully, here is the message generated with the query subject type template. Then navigate to the Integration tab. We have some integrations. Click on the existing integration. And then click on the Interface tab. We have already created an inbound interface, so proceed to click on the interface details. In the interface, the source name contains account object. Link it with the metadata provider, repository, message type, inbound direction, and the operation type using query. After config the interface already, click on the Query Editor button. We're using endpoint V4 query for query data from the Salesforce database. So click Next. It will alert SOQL query for defining the query conditions. Then click on the drop-down field of the account. Currently, tick some fields you need to query. You will see that it auto-generates the select statement from the account object. Here is the select statement from the account. On the right-hand side, you can define condition where clauses. Here are the steps for those who are unclear about where condition is. You just select the field, operation, and set the value to define the condition. For the value setting, you can put static or dynamic value. And the field you see is getting from the query message type, where expression. When you set it, it auto-generates the where condition here. Here is the example. We set the dynamic variable format, where account number equals my variable. You also can manually write the condition here. Currently, you can add sub-interface for setting condition query. Click on Add Sub-Interface. Select the source name. And click Save. We get the sub-interface here. Select on the sub-interface and set the condition for the sub-interface contact. And define condition on the contact with where dynamic variable. Here is dynamic variable format, where first name equals parameter. Then we add more sub-interface case. And setting the condition for the sub-interface case. And define condition on the case with where dynamic variable. Here is dynamic variable format, where subject like my value. On the Query Editor tool, you can test to execute SOQL to verify the record in Salesforce. Click Execute SOQL. Input the value you want to query, then click Execute SOQL. It alerts the message query success, but that value we execute is not in Salesforce, so it's not displayed on the screen. So now click on the Test SOQL or Count Records. That button queries to count records in Salesforce. Input the value here. When you input the value, you can see the dynamic variable will be replaced by the value you have input. Then click Test SOQL or Count Records button. You will observe the message success with records found too. Then we test execute those records again. Here is the records those we have queried. When we set the where condition already, then click Save SOQL. After we saved the SOQL, on the interface, you will see the select statement of the account here. And here is the select statement of the contact. For this is the select statement of the case. To note for you, when we create an interface and choose an operation query, the trigger will choose the interface type outbound automatically. We're configuring the interface set query operation, which means using endpoint v4 query to filter the records. It is not required to do the mapping. One more thing, the query all operation not support the v4 query API. Then navigate to Postman. We are using Postman as the client for testing the v4 query. So, now we're using Postman for the configuration of the v4 query API to query the records. On the Postman, the API inputs the Salesforce classic URL and inputs some part of our v4 query API. In the query prom, you have to input integration name, interface name, request format, and response format. As an example now, we're using XML format. So then, click on Authentication, select the bearer token, and then including access token that you get from Salesforce. Now, click the body section. Here is the form XML to query records. Here is the account, contact, and case object. This is the field dynamic variable that we set on the SOQL. For example, my variable is the dynamic variable sent from Postman as the client. The value of my variable will replace into my variable in the SOQL statement on the interface. The parameter and my value are similar to my variable, as they dynamically replace values in the SOQL statement on the interface. Currently, click Send. When the condition is meet, then the client will get the response back. The field selected on SQL on the interface will be presented in the response to the client. Here are the records that we have queried. That response is as the XML format with the standard response, because the response interface was not defined. We already show you with the XML format. So, then we show you another one with the JSON format. Here is the form of the JSON. In the query param, we need to change request format and response format to JSON. Set the value on the variable you're using. Then click Send. When the condition is meet, then the client will get the response back. Here are the records that we have queried. That response is the standard response, because the response interface was not defined. Currently, we will show you the custom business response. You can define the structure that you need as the response. So navigate to the integration. We have already created an outbound interface, so proceed to click on the interface details. On the response interface, the source name contains account object, linking with the message type and the outbound direction type. Then click the Open Mapping button. In the Mapping tool, you can drag and drop the field you want based on your business. In this step, you just drop node to node and field to field you want to respond back. For the Mapping tool, we have already demonstrated in a previous video. After Map Zone fields, then click Save the mapping. Currently, linking the relationship between the interface request interface link response interface and the response interface link request interface. So, navigate to Postman. Before standard response is here, then click Send for query records again. Now you will see the business response when you call from Postman. Then we test call query record again with the XML format. Here is the business response with XML format. As a result of those cases, we have demonstrated the V4 Query API with the dynamic where variable of both the standard response and the business response. So this time, we show you the dynamic where clause to build the complex condition. Navigate to integration. We have created the new interface for using with a condition where clause. For the configuration message type or direction and operation not different from old interface we show you. So click on the interface. Here is the interface detail. It looked the same as the interface dynamic variable. Currently, click on Query Editor and click Next. In the previous case, we have already demonstrated how to construct a select statement and define conditions using dynamic variables. In this scenario, it is essential to utilize the keyword __SKYVVA __where clause and format it as my variable. After defining already, click Save SOQL. So, navigate to Postman. Here is the form XML to query records. This is the field dynamic where clause calls SKYVVA where clause that we set on the SOQL. You can set the where statement in that field. It will replace the value in the condition. Then your condition and value will be replaced on the SOQL on the interface. In the query param, you have to input integration, interface, request, and response format. In this step, we are using XML format. Now click Send. When the condition is meet, then the client will get the response back. The field selected on SQL on the interface will be presented in the response to the client. Here is the record that we have queried. Currently, we show you with the JSON format. Here is the JSON form, where the dynamic where clause calls SKYVVA's where clause, allowing you to define the condition. Then click Send. When the condition is meet, then the client will get the response back. The field selected on SQL on the interface will be presented in the response to the client. Here is the record that we have queried. So now, we've shown you the usage of the V4 Query API with a where clause on the interface to establish conditions for filtering data selection, including the implementation of dynamic where clauses to construct complex conditions. Finally, in this video, we demonstrated the V4 Query API as the endpoint for data searches in Salesforce. It enables hierarchical data queries and provides the query editor tool for easy definition of conditions using dynamic where variables or clauses. Additionally, it allows obtaining the business response tailored to specific requirements. Thank you for watching. See you in the next videos.